Welcome to another episode of the Ponzi Scheme Show. This should be episode two, maybe. I don't know. I have to check the title of the video. I don't know. I haven't uploaded anything as of yet, but this weekend, what is today? Today is January 30th at 4:27 in the AM on the East Coast, and it is freaking cold. Just gotta say that. All right, so on the first episode, um, I kind of just touch base of like what I want the channel to be, what I hope it'll be, what I aspire it to be, and maybe it'll turn into something. Maybe it won't. I don't know. It's probably gonna suck for a while. I know I've said that before, but yeah. Anyway, so we touched on social media, mainstream media, and the First Amendment, and it's only because it's been in everyone's face, all these things. And is it is it a scheme? It kind of is. Um, I don't know what the dictionary definition of a scheme is. I didn't look it up because that's how much production value I put into this so far. I'm not even prepared. But I would think that anything that is put out there that is misinformation in order to affect or to get a certain outcome, it could be. It could be a scheme. Whether that be, well, I mean, what the big thing that just happened is that the whole GameStop, Wall Street debacle, I guess we can call it a debacle. That's an awesome word, debacle. Um, and basically, what they did, and I'm not a finance person, I will never say that I know anything about it other than it seems, and not that this is new information, that the big wigs, I guess we can call them, or uh, the top execs of these finance companies or these investment companies, they have been manipulating the market, the stock market, to go up and down at pretty much at their will in order to make a ton of money. And it very rarely trickles down to, we'll just call it the average person that's, maybe making 50,000 a year, or maybe making, 35,000 a year, or maybe, makes 40,000 but has to work three jobs in order, you know what I mean? It rarely ever trickles down unless your company has a 401k or some type of retirement plan, pension, or profit sharing, or whatever. Uh, Very rarely do any of the lower income people see the benefits of those big funds and what they do. So, what Reddit decided to do, or a bunch of people on Reddit decided to do, is, well, these hedge funds, I mean, oh boy, these hedge fund people decided that, well, GameStop is going to go out of business, and apparently they did this with hotel chains. Anything that was majorly impacted by having a pandemic going on. So hotels, movie theaters, they hit up AMC. Like, they basically bet that these companies were going to fail, uh, and ended up because a bunch of people on Reddit decided, well, hey, we're going to buy a bunch of shares of GameStop, make the stock price go through the roof. And now these hedge fund people lost, some of them lost billions. Some of the funds got completely dissolved. So there's no money left. And now all these rich people have something to say. We need regulation. How could we let this happen? And poor Robin Hood, that the Robin Hood app, it was great for people that, had $5, $10, $20 to spend, that they wanted to just, hey, you know what? Let me buy some Tesla. Let me buy some Amazon. Coca-Cola. They're not a sponsor yet, but hey, if you guys want to sponsor my show, um, you know what I mean? And it's a great app. And then they had to like shut it down. They're like, hey, no, you can't buy GameStop stock, at least for a little while. And they brought it back. But it goes to show you what a scam and a scheme that the stock market is. Like everybody's talking about the economy, the economy, the economy. Everything, the economy is great. Yeah, the economy is great for the people that are already rich, the people that own stock, that have 401ks. Yes, economy is doing great. But what about the people, like I mentioned, that they're working a minimum wage job? They are, um, working two jobs that don't offer those benefits. You know, the economy means nothing to them. It's more of a neighborhood economy that's what they care about. The local businesses, the restaurants, the bars, the places that they've been going, for years, and now they bring their family. They went it with their family, and now they have a family, and they go, to a restaurant with their family. It could be a family-owned business that because people needed to stay home, or had lost their jobs and they had less money to spend. That is the economy people should be worried about, not not banks. We bailed them out. Not the airlines. Yep, bailed them out too. Well, where is our bailout? Well, we kind of got one. They gave us the $600. They gave us the $1,200. Now they're thinking about another $1,400. Well, that's good for the people that really, really need it. Now, thankfully, between my wife and I, we're not struggling. We're not. We're not rich. We're definitely not rich, but we're not struggling. Luckily, none of us lost our jobs during this whole thing. I took a considerable cut because I lost a lot of the overtime that I used to work, and so that took a huge. I took a huge hit there, but it was still enough that we have a mortgage, and we're paying our mortgage. We're paying all of our bills on time, but a lot of people can't. So that $1,200, $2,000, people that were on unemployment, which is another scheme, I think. I don't know. um, yeah, that money helped a little bit, but where's that money going? Let me take a sip. Hold on. So where's that money going to go? Do you think they're going to, now some people, yeah, maybe they went out and bought shoes. They went out and had a big party. All right, yeah, so that money went back into the local economy, maybe. But if they decide to go on a little shopping spree on Amazon, did that help the economy? No. People that are falling behind with their credit card payments. All right, yeah, getting $1,200, another $1,400 or whatever, if that goes through, or that extra $600 a week everybody was getting on unemployment. If you fell behind on your credit card payment, and you take that money and pay your Amex, MasterCard, Visa, Discover, whatever, did that help the economy? No. No. Paying back rent. That may be, if it's say there's somebody that owns a couple properties where, it's a one family or two family. If they lost out on, say 6-8 months worth of rent from several buildings or, well, several homes. I mean, if you own like a big building, all right, well, that's a whole other thing. But for the smaller people that only own a couple homes, maybe they have a summer home that they rent out, once in a while when they're not using it. They were affected, and so if somebody that owed them 6-7 months rent said, hey, you know what, I can give you 500, whereas before I was getting this extra $600 a week. There's no way I could have, but you know what, I can give you that, like 500 of the 800 or 1,000 or the 1,500 that I owe you a month. Rent is very expensive. I don't know where you guys live. Maybe put something in the comments, like what your rent or your mortgage is. It's outstanding how crazy the numbers are. You know, if you got a small place in New York City, you're gonna be paying three, four, $5,000 a month for rent for a small, maybe one bedroom, maybe a studio. So it's just one big room. The only door is on your bathroom if you're lucky. Maybe it's like a little pull thing or something. I don't know. But so yeah, maybe that helped out the economy a little bit. But where'd that money go? Where does that money go when you pay a mortgage? That goes to a bank. Do they need money? I don't know. They have it all. I don't think they need more. You know, there was that just I don't know, just popped in my head. There was I think it was Louis C.K. had a bit about if you have money and you give it to the bank, they give you more money. They're like, hey, you got all this money and we don't want it to be loan. I don't know if this is part of it, but you know, we're going to give you more money. And when you don't have money, then they charge you. They're like, hey, you don't have enough money. So we're going to penalize you and charge you $30 a month because you went below your $1,000 a month balance. And it's just funny how that whole thing works, you know? Now, I know how it works. It's like if you have more money that's in the bank, they're using that money to invest. Therefore, they are making money on your money, and hopefully, you get to reap some of those. You know, if you have a savings account, you'll get some of that investment that they made with your money. I get it. I'm not completely stupid, just a little bit stupid, but I'm not completely stupid. Um, so yes, I mean, the economy, if you look at the last maybe 30 years, 40 years, you know, so that's several presidents from uh, different political parties. And if you look at the large scale, the big picture, you're going to see it goes up and down, up and down, up and down, depending on what's happening in the world, what's happening in this country. Um, so whoever the president is doesn't have a huge impact on what the economy turns out to be. Um, it does. I mean, when there's poor choices made, yes, of course, you know, people get scared and then they start selling out stocks or they, you know, start reinvesting or whatever. Yeah. So it has some effect on it. But when people are basing everything, like all the world's problems, that as long as the economy is strong, everything's okay. Well, that's not it at all. Um, so yeah, I mean, I think this whole GameStop thing really opened some people's eyes that weren't aware that this kind of stuff has been happening for years and decades. Um, you know, the slow manipulation of you know, because because you know, with the social media and mainstream media, all it takes is for a CEO of a company or a big investor of certain companies to go on TV or go on social media and say like, hey, you know, this particular company, you know, they're going out of business soon. You know, it's really sad, yada yada yada. Well, guess what that does to the people that are invested in that company? So you may have some that say like, oh, well, the stock is like plummeting. I don't own any, so maybe I'll just buy a bunch and hope that it comes back. All right, well, that's a solid plan. Or, hey, this company's going out of business. I own a bunch of shares. Hmm, maybe I should sell it all off, which makes the stock go even lower. Um, so, you know, I don't know. I mean, see, the thing is that I don't know enough about this to get the full grasp of it, but I think, you know, because of social media, it's, you know, brought it to the forefront where it's like now it's in everyone's face. With all the issues going on in the world, it's in everyone's face. And I don't think people realize. I mean, you hear things, you know, lawyers are corrupt and Wall Street's corrupt, and but you don't usually see the effects of it until something like this happens where, whether it was a dozen people, 5 people, I don't even know. Um, I think they're still looking into it, and now there's regulations and hearings that are going to be held and such. So I don't think people realized what the Wall Street people were doing until it got messed with, until they started losing money and seeing other people doing the same things that they were doing. Now they're making it, these small people making $1,000. These Wall Street people, they're making millions of dollars in a day. Maybe they're losing $1 million, but then the next day they make 10 million. You know what I mean? So overnight, almost, these funds lost billions of dollars while a handful of people made $1,000 or $2,000, and they were pissed off about it. So now all of a sudden, regulation, we shouldn't do this and shouldn't allow this to happen. And, Robinhood app and all this stuff. Well, yeah, it made it easier for people to invest. No commission. And they're not a sponsor either, but I don't have it. I'll be honest. I just haven't got around to doing it, but I think it's a great idea. If you have a little bit of money and you want to get into the stock market, definitely do it with, uh, don't just start throwing money at whatever. Definitely do some research on some companies that you want to invest in. And I think, if you're going to invest in something that you enjoy. If you enjoy motorcycles, then maybe invest in Harley Davidson or some component of Harley. Well, I don't know if Harley Davidson has like, I think they do all their own stuff. But there's somebody was just talking recently that there's a certain microchip that's going to be used in something. I completely lost there now. But it was something that it was a microchip that one company developed that's going to be used in the technology of something else. And so that's a great time, when you hear about things like that, to say, hey, you know what? If this chip is so great and it's used exclusively by this other company that makes this product or this service or whatever, then the stock should skyrocket and maybe I can make some money. And it's hard for people that only have, $100 to do something like that. You get to go to you got to go to a place and get uh, like a broker, and there's fees involved and there's commissions. Well, Robinhood doesn't do any of that. It's just like, if you got $5, I'd get you $5 a Tesla and see how it goes. It's going to go up and down, up and down. And don't do this day trading stuff. Don't do it. I did that when I first got a 401k. I used to check it every day. And my boss would laugh at me. He goes, well, you're going to lose $20 today. You're going to lose $100 today. And then next week, you'll make that money back plus $10. So don't worry about it. Like, you're in for the long haul. That's what an investment should be. You shouldn't be doing this, to try to get rich in a week or 2 weeks. And if you could do it, great, go for it, and let everybody else know how you did it. So that's about the economy, and definitely go check out the story. I mean, they're still working on it with this whole GameStop Wall Street Reddit thing. So I was talking to, I don't even know who, I was talking to somebody about starting up my show again, and somebody asked me, well, what's the difference between a Ponzi scheme and a pyramid scheme? It's a great question. So, I'm not going to, like I said, I'm not going to say that I know everything about the subject, because I don't. The only reason why this is the Ponzi scheme show is because my last name is Ponzi. That's it. That's all. And it's a cool name. Somebody mentioned it when I did it for my first show, when I was, several years ago, and somebody's like, oh, you should call it the Ponzi scheme. So, no, that's a good idea. So the difference between a Ponzi scheme and a pyramid scheme, a Ponzi scheme is getting a bunch of money from a bunch of people. And so say you have 10 people and they all give you $100,000. All right, so now you got $1 million. So say one of those people say like, "Oh wow, like, can I see how my money is doing?" So me having $1 million, I can go to that person and say like, "Wow, you gave me 10 grand. No, I'm sorry, you gave me $100,000, and in 90 days, it's now worth 125." Like, wow, that's amazing. I can't believe you did that. And you made me 25 grand in 90 days. Here's another 100,000. Well, what happened is I took somebody's 25 grand from, say, this person over here. They also gave me 100,000. So I'm like, I took 25,000 of his money and gave it to this person. That's what a Ponzi scheme is. It's like you don't actually have the funds. I mean, you have the $1 million, but if everyone came to you and say, "Hey, I want my million or my $100,000 back," there'd be no money left. So there you go. Now, a pyramid scheme is when you have somebody, you have one person at the top, and that person gets, say, 5 people, and now those 5 people get another 5 people under them. And so I'm not good at math. You guys could do that whole thing if you're a math nerd or whatever. By the time you get to 5 or 6, 7, 8 rows down, you know how many people that is? So eventually I don't remember how many levels it needed to be. I think it was like less than 20 or maybe just over 20 levels of people all get it. Well, that was if they got 10 people. So I think it was only like 20, maybe 30 levels of everyone getting 10 people that you'd run out of people. That'd be over the population of the world. Maybe it was more than 30 levels. I don't know. But that's what a pyramid is. And it's basically like there's somebody at the top that has people under them, that has people under them. And from the bottom, the people on the bottom, they make the least amount of money. They probably put uh, some money into it to start the investment. And so now they're trying to do whatever, whether it's selling products or doing whatever it is. It's mostly selling things, that how these things work. And so now they need to sell so much to make any kind of profit. And the only time, you can't be on the bottom and make any money. That's why they call it ground floor. So as you move up, maybe the people in the middle of the pyramid, they're doing pretty good because they got a couple thousand people under them. But then that money all still goes up to the top to that one person, and that's how that whole thing works. It's not feasible to run a business that way. I sold cell phones, and we had a quota to meet. So you had to do so many new activations. So it was a new phone line or a new customer, brand new, everything. So 2-year agreement. Now, well, they don't really do contracts anymore, but at the time it was, I had to do at one point, I think I had to do like 40 new activations every month. Well, I consider that a pyramid scheme because at a certain point, um, you're gonna run out of people to get. I mean, yeah, there's several different companies. So yeah, I mean, at the time, the big ones were Nextel, Sprint, Verizon, and AT&T. Now you have a lot of other companies, but at the time, those were the 4 big ones. And eventually, Sprint bought out Nextel. Um, oh, and T-Mobile. I have T-Mobile. I've had T-Mobile for a long time, and I love it. Never had any issues with them. So, uh, but it's a tough business model to do that. Now I understand why they do it that way, um, because that's where the money is. It's like it's that's however much your plan is. So say it's $50 a month. Well, that's 24 months guaranteed. They're going to make 50. So for every person, they get to sign up $50 a month, 24 months. And then they hope you stay, So yeah, there's incentives. We'll give you a free phone, all this stuff. Well, now or at least with T-Mobile. I don't know if other carriers are doing it, but it's like you basically there is no contract. You pay for the phone. It's part of your monthly. Now, I mean, I paid. This is a Samsung Note 9 with the expand. I think I got like I don't know. I got whatever the biggest amount was, and I can add another 512 gigs of storage to make it a 1 terabyte. It was $1,250, right? So I mean, I think it's paid off now. I've had it for a couple years. Um, but I mean, the, the I don't know. I think cell phone, most technology, really, it's they make it where uh like when I was growing up, you had Tonka toys, you know, that were metal. They were made. I mean, it was made. It was basically a miniature real truck. It didn't have an engine in it. You know, you didn't have to change the oil. Didn't have any batteries in it, so you couldn't turn the lights on. But man, you could haul some rocks around, and it might chip the paint a little bit, whatever it is. But it was something that lasted, and I'm sure there's still people that grew up in the 60s, 70s, 80s that still have some of those Tonka trucks and the Matchbox cars. Like those things were made to last. Nowadays, you get a phone for $1,250 and you're lucky if you don't have any problems with it the first year. And if you do, you get the runaround like, well, if you have insurance, then they'll replace it, but then you lose your data, and if you don't back up all your data, then you lose it all. And it's just a pain in the ass. They don't. I mean, they did an expose in Canada, I think, a couple years back, and they tried to ask these people like, well, you know, I just got this phone like 2 weeks ago, and I'm already having issues. Like the battery won't charge. Oh, that's the other thing too. Like with these freaking batteries, like it used to be, you could just go buy a new battery and pop it in when it wouldn't charge anymore, or when it wouldn't hold the charge anymore. And you have to replace batteries. Those things are wear and tear items. They're considered consumables, which means you need to replace them. It's like a light bulb. They're like tires. Every once in a while, you have to replace them. However, however, they make these things so that they don't last. I mean, if you pay $1,250 for a phone or 2 grand for a laptop, as long as you keep it, as long as you take care of it and you don't do anything, to ruin it or compromise the internal mechanism, that thing should last you forever. But you can't replace the battery. You got to bring it somewhere. They have to open it up, take out the battery. They don't give you the option. Apple got hit hard because they're like, you can't bring this phone to anyone else other than Apple to fix it. What? I mean, that's like saying that, you just bought a car and you have to bring it to the dealership to get it fixed. And if you don't, it voids the warranty. There's a lot of states have been fighting things like that because dealerships tried to get away with it. And I think across the board, I don't think there's any state in this country that allows that to happen anymore. It used to. They used to hit you with that. But I mean, if you can't work on your own car, like if now I don't know how to work on a car. I wouldn't even try to change the oil. I'll this is as much as I do as maintenance. I drive it to my mechanic. That's what I do for maintenance. That's it. I don't bring it to the dealership because they charge you. I mean, yeah, it might be great because if something goes wrong, then you can blame them and they're a legit whatever, Ford or, whatever car you have. Then, yeah, then the work is supposed to be better. But if you have a mechanic that you've been dealing with forever and they've always done great work, they've never taken advantage of you, There's no reason why they can't. I mean, it's like buying a house and like you have to go to your mortgage company every time you want to paint. This is ridiculous that these cell phones uh places were getting away with this. And it's still happening, and until people stand up for it to say, "You know what? We're not going to buy your products anymore because they're crap because we want to get more than 2 years out of this device." And then where did these devices go? You could trade them in, get like $30 for something that you paid over $1,000 for, and then they send them to countries that can't afford phones and then sell them back to them, or they open them up and just take all the gold and the silver out of it. Just use it for resources. I mean, there's places that to get the materials for the batteries. These are in like, you know, I mean, I don't want to say across the board, but for the most part, these elements are in places where they're not treating the people getting them out of the ground very well, you know, like blood diamonds. Yeah, it's real nice and they're rare and, whatever, and they could be worth a ton of money, but what did it cost? Those people that had to be, treated like crap and, not pay very well to get that diamond out of the ground just for you. So you could flash it around and look, everybody, look at this diamond I got. Stupid. Um, but yeah, just technology in general. Like, I think the whole thing's a scam nowadays. I mean, I think if any of these cell phone manufacturers or laptop, tablet manufacturers, they need to step up and say, look, this device, whatever it is, this is $2,000, but this will be the phone, this will be the tablet, this will be your laptop, your computer, your desktop, whatever it is. We guarantee this thing is going to work for 10 years and you won't have to buy another one. And we're going to make sure that everything is spot on. Like, have any issues, we're going to fix it. If we can't fix it, we're going to replace it. That's the way it should be. But now it's basically disposable. You got disposable cell phones, disposable laptops, disposable tablets. It's ridiculous. Like, you can't upgrade them anymore. I mean, I get it. I get, some after a while, if you want to have a certain app or you want to have a certain software, whatever it is, yes, you need a bigger processor, you need a faster RAM. I get that. But if you have a game, this is the big one for me. I have an old Samsung Note 4 that I got way long, I don't know, maybe 6-7 years ago, something like that. And there's 2 games on that phone that they have been upgraded, but they've been working. And then I started to notice where they're not really working as good as they used to. And then it got to the point where, like, now I have to restart the game. I have to restart the phone to get through a little session to like collect my coins or attack or whatever. Well, that shouldn't happen. If the game worked 2 years ago flawlessly, why doesn't it work now? Because they want me to get a new phone. That's why. So now I have to figure out, and if anybody knows how to do this, please let me know. Like I said, I had the Samsung Note 4. I got games on there, and I think they're through Google Play. I want to get them on my new phone, which is the Note 9. Now, if I could do it through Google Play, they'll let me do it. They'll let me sync up my game if I log in through Facebook, which is weird. That's very weird. Like, if I have the game on my now I don't have Facebook. I had it and I got rid of it over 5 years ago. Well, no, well, yeah, probably 4.5 years ago. So if I go into, because it's still active, I don't know why. I thought I deleted it, but I don't know. Every time I log into I think it's Spotify. I log into Spotify and it automatically, because that one's linked too. It somehow, every time I log into Spotify, it logs me back into Facebook or whatever. But I haven't used Facebook in forever. So why can I do it through Facebook? If I go into my Facebook account and link those games to my Facebook, and then I go back into the games and link it to Facebook. Now all of a sudden, those games are linked, and now I can play them on a different device. So I'm sure there's a way to do it through Google Play. But here's another fucking scheme. Making things so hard to, I just want the stuff to work. When I buy something, like when I buy this microphone, I know no matter how much time goes by, if I take care of this microphone, it's going to work the same in 100 years as it does right now. I cannot say that about my phone. We're probably going to have like holograms and implants in our head. Those are going to be the phone. We're not even going to have a device anymore. It's just going to like ring, ring, ring. You're going to hear it in your skull, and then you can answer it. And you could hear them, and then you could talk, and they'll hear you. That's how it's going to be in 50 years. But yeah, that's all. The whole thing. This whole technology thing is a big scam. So that's why people stop, upgrading, to laptops. Like we had a Toshiba that my wife got. Oh my goodness, maybe 2009, 2010. We still have it, but we didn't buy another computer until I just bought one in November, last November. And now I can't run anything. And the only reason why I got a new laptop was because I wanted to start this show up again, and I wanted to get a good editing software, and I wanted to make sure that I had more than enough processing power, more than enough RAM, enough storage space to, do HD videos with a separate audio file and do some cool editing and stuff. Now, I do have the laptop for it now. The other one wouldn't have worked. But we didn't feel the need to keep upgrading laptops every time something wasn't acting right. And I mean, and the other thing with computers, it's like, why is it so easy for them to get all messed up? I remember we got in the early 90s or mid 90s, we got a computer, and that thing worked like a champ. It was just a Dell, or maybe it was an HP, and that thing was amazing. Never failed. And then all of a sudden, I don't even know what it was. It was something that I think it was just like an email that my mother opened, and all of a sudden it started acting up. So a friend of mine that was really good at fixing computers, he took a look at it, and it started working good again. Showed me how to like do the defragmenting, showed me the correct way of deleting files that you didn't need anymore, stuff like that, and tried to school us on, emails and things like that, what to open, what not to open, and don't open attachment. And I think that's what it was. Is she opened up an attachment that probably had some kind of virus or malware or whatever. But it shouldn't be this difficult. You know what I mean? Like if you have a good virus scan, good software to, keep you protected, that's all you need. So that thing should technically, if you can do whatever it is you're doing now on that laptop or that tablet, 10, 15, 20 years from now, you should be able to do those same things, but you can't. Even if you do all the maintenance and make sure, like I think unless you had a completely air-gapped laptop, so you're not connected to the internet at all, so there's no way for any corrupt files or any kind of any bad things to, I think that's probably the only way to have that thing perform the exact same way on day one that it does on day 1300. You know what I mean? So, yeah. All right. Well, this episode of this show is, I'm at about 40 minutes. So I'm hoping that I was able to start a dialogue, maybe, as to all the things around us that they feel a little schemy, a little scammy, you know? Now, I think the next episode, because it's right around, the end of the year, you get your W 2s. Well, guess who's going to be calling? The IRS. And they want to tell you that you owe them money. And if you don't give them that money, they're going to send agents to your home and they're going to arrest you. Well, guess what? IRS is going to call you. They're going to send you a letter. And if you don't respond to that letter, then they're going to take it out of your paycheck. They're not going to arrest you unless you're doing some really bad stuff. Like you'd have to be like embezzling or money laundering to get into major problems. But the IRS is not going to call you. So, you know what? I don't even have to make that its own episode. I've said enough. The IRS is not going to call you. If you owe them money or there's a problem with your tax returns, you're going to get an audit. You're probably going to get a letter. You're going to get audited. And that's it. If you owe them money, you're going to owe them money. If you don't pay them, then they're going to take it out of your check. That's it. And if you're not working, then they may end up selling some of your possessions in order to get their money. So there you go. So it doesn't even have to be an episode about that. So stay safe out there. Wear a mask. Social distance. And don't pick up the phone when the IRS calls, because they're not going to call you anyway. All right. So bye, everybody. Be good. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.